Rather than Calvert-Lewin, a surprising Manchester United link has been reported. And it's taken a lot of people by a lot of surprise. 28-year-old striker became a free agent this summer after his contract at Everton expired. United under Amarim are said to be preparing a contract offer for him. Being available on a free transfer makes him, well, let's be honest, it's a very, very cheap option compared to some of the more high-profile targets that we've been linked to. And I think that's a massive reason why his name is in the conversation. In nearly, just 270 appearances, he's got about 70-ish goals. It's very close to like a 1 in 4 return. That's not great. He's had a career that's, last couple of seasons, been blighted by injuries. This move sounds like it's got potential, partially because it's a bargain, I think. But is he what United need to end our goal-scoring woes? And would he be an upgrade on Rasmus Højlund et al.? Let's have a look at it. And let's have a look at why and what this says about the club situation, I think. So United had a dismal dogshit attack last season. We scored 44 goals in the league, which is an abnormally low tally for a team of United stature. Big investments in the forward line, whether it was Højlund, whether it's Xerxes, over 100 million combined. It just hasn't translated into goals. We finished not just outside the Champions League spots, but outside the top half. The requirements to revamp the forward line have been covered extensively, not just on this channel, but by anyone who gives a toss about United. We've not got Champions League revenue next season. We have to get back in the mix. Now, we've got to carefully manage and navigate profit and sustainability rules, which I think is fine for us. But I also think we are skin. I think there's just not a lot in the bank. Like I've said this loads of times, PSR says United can spend money this year, but the bank account says otherwise. Now, under new part owner, Jim Radcliffe, we have stressed the need for financial prudence and implemented drastic cost-cutting measures across the board. That's translated into our transfer approach as well, as we're clearly trying to bring in value deals. We bring in Cunha, 62.5 million. We've seen a similar sort of bid lodged for Mbeumo, which hasn't come over the line just yet. But those outlays, the FFP, PSR constraints, as well as what's going on with the bank account and our inability to sell players means we're going to have to look at free agents. And I think the free agent market is underutilised by United. I actually don't hate signing Calvert-Lewin. But what I would say is it can't just be Calvert-Lewin. Even if it's Calvert-Lewin and Mbeumo and Cunha, I still think United probably need another striker. And with the news that came out from Laurie the other day that United probably are looking at offloading Rasmus Højlund, we absolutely need another striker. It's going to have to be Calvert-Lewin and somebody else. And I think bringing somebody in a free makes a lot of sense. So, are United skint? I think in the eyes of a lot of supporters, we're acting like it. And I think there's probably some truth to that. We've spent big in recent windows. We've had 5 years of net losses, a failure to secure Champions League income. United's finances don't have a lot of headroom. We're trying to sell and offload players that, on the book, we're going to lose in terms of PSR and FFP and the way that stuff's calculated. But we're going to take a loss on those players. We've been reducing the wage bill quite significantly in recent years. That helps free up some cash flow and might help us invest it into better signings and different players. But it also kind of underscores the point of there's a reason that United are not being linked with many top draw strikers, if there was even that many top draw strikers. Now let's talk about Calvert-Lewin in particular. What's happened with him? Because a couple of years ago, he was really hot. He was considered one of England's most promising young strikers under Ancelotti, which was all the way back in 2020. Do you remember when Carlo Ancelotti was at Everton? What a mad time to be alive. He had the best form of his career and Everton did really well. Ancelotti called him the complete striker, a forward that's got rare all-round qualities. He had a blend of pace, of aerial power. His improved finishing saw him get 21 goals in all competitions. That would be very much nice. He earned himself England caps He was getting admiration from big clubs. He was linked to Manchester United all the way back in 20 when he was just 23 years of age and doing bits under Ancelotti. But the last few seasons have been a struggle. Why? Well, injuries have repeatedly disrupted his momentum. He's battled against a couple of different injuries. He's had muscle strains. He's had a persistent knock-on effect that I've seen him out for quite long stretches at Everton. And because of that, there's been a sharp decline in his output. He only managed 3 goals last season in 26 appearances and only 1 goal after middle of September. Clearly not good enough, and one of the reasons why Everton struggled. From a striker that was expected to not just lead the line, but kick on and develop and become a real influential Premier League forward, it's disappointing numbers. Now, the lack of form can be attributed a little bit, at least, I think, to the fitness problems. He's often been played at less than 100%. He's been rushed back, only to break down again. And Everton's struggles as a team have mimicked his struggles as a player. Fighting relegation, not exactly the most nurturing environment for a striker to flourish, obviously. But the downturn in form has made a lot of United fans quite rightly sceptical. This is the guy that's going to come and turn us from being 15th to top 5? Don't think so. Bringing in an injury-prone striker off a poor season doesn't sound like the ambitions of a team that's trying to get back in the Champions League, does it? Is it scraping a barrel? Yeah. Is it a sign of where we are as a club now? Yeah. Would I still do it anyway? Yeah, I would. I would still do it, but it can't just be him. It needs to be him and somebody else. This isn't signing an Everton player in poor form. This isn't just signing an injury-prone player. He isn't solo going to solve United's goal-scoring issues or even excite the fan base. I expect to see people in the comments going, this is fucking stupid. But I don't think it is. I think the fact he's on a free, I think he'll be on relatively modest wages because he can't command fat ones. I actually think this makes a lot of sense, and I think it's an opportunity to rehab his career. I think there is a player in Calvert-Lewin. I think there is a Premier League player in Calvert-Lewin. I think he comes on favourable terms alongside another striker, and United have got something going on. Carlo Ancelotti knows a striker. Right? He knows a striker. And if he says you're a complete striker, you're a fucking complete striker. And I will not have anyone say otherwise. And he offers a lot of qualities that United attack absolutely lacks. He's good in the air. Oh, Onana's sending the ball up to fucking Rasmus Højlund just for him to play pity-pat with whoever the centre-half is. Doesn't happen with Calvert-Lewin. Brings it down, links the play. So even if he's not then getting into the box and getting on the end of stuff himself, we've got over the halfway line, for starters, because he can hold the fucking ball up. Something that our current number 9 hasn't even watched on tape. Even in limited action, he wins a massively high % of his aerial duels. Massively useful for a team that requires that option. He also works hard. Everton pressed defenders, and he tracked back pretty well as well. He was contributing defensively from the front. Those traits haven't disappeared. It's his ability in the box which has really declined for him. If he can stay healthy, if he can be afforded the opportunity, whether it's whoever the main striker is or Xerxes lead the line a little bit and he's given the chance to come in and not play a back-to-back and get rinsed, I actually think he could do bits. And I think, with Bruno providing chances, I think he scores goals. I think he scores more goals than Rasmus Højlund, and I'm certain of it, to be honest. Otherwise, the rest of the tactics, the way we see it, you have Ruben Amarim's front line. Tactically, you're getting physicality, you're getting energy, you're getting pressing. He would hold it up and release, hopefully, Mbeumo and Cunha. Like, the more I think about it, the more I go, this is a real opportunity for United. A physically imposing striker, 6'2", strong in the duels, a real focal point that allows us to play up to and then play off. He's clearly not our first choice, but tactically I think he could function as a real traditional number 9 and as a rotation option. If United need to go direct, get a big one on. Let's have a look. A plan B off the bench. I'm not sitting here saying he'll score 20 goals in the Premier League for us next season. I'm saying tactically and financially, this makes a lot of sense. This is like a squad pad that I think United require. At Sporting, Viktor Gyokeres wasn't just the target man. He was relentless in pressing and he was an absolute goal scorer. You can't have your cake and eat it in the Premier League when you're trying to deal with the financial constraints and realities of being Manchester United. I like it. I still think there's got to be a marquee striker coming in. But if he's the backup, I think he's a better backup than Rasmus Højlund. I think he's a better tactical fit than Rasmus Højlund. I think he's a better plan B than Rasmus Højlund. And he's free. And you might be able to sell and raise a little bit of cash. Not a lot, but a little bit of cash. And I think it's also important to note that he's clearly not United's first choice striker this summer. Far from it. Victor Osimhen still being linked. Somewhere in the region of £60 million plus what would be high wage demands. If he came and was United's first choice and you had Calvert-Lewin in behind, I don't mind it. As I said last week, Vlahovic could be available for as low as 25 million. I think if you brought in Vlahovic and Calvert-Lewin for a combined outlay of like 25, 30 million quid, fucking Christ, between one of them is going to work. One of them will end up working for you. And you could rest and rotate and they could work together. One of them would work. One of them would work. We saw a link with Ollie Watkins back end of the season. We are clearly wanting a bit of a target man up front. Clearly. And then maybe that's the reason why Gyokeres can play as a target man, but the Premier League is questionable about that. Obviously now going to Arsenal. That looks like it's all but done. I'll probably do a separate video talking about that a little bit later. We're not getting Gyokeres. I don't know if you can get Osimhen because of the wages. That leaves you looking at Ollie Watkins, not perfect, and a lot of money for someone who's going to be, basically the same age as Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin on a free. Vlahovic, who has never been played in the Premier League before. Or you go for someone that's a little bit out there, like a Mateta. Still going to cost you a hell of a lot of money. I like Mateta. I actually think he'd be good. We clearly favour something of a physical Premier League proven number 9. Hence why Liam Delap was our number 1 option. Jonathan David, obviously now moving on and almost boxed off. The likes of Isak, you're not going to get. Nicholas Jackson, probably not going to get. Retegui, there's never been a link with him. Mwane was a little bit of a tentative link to him. Even Mitrovic has come up in speculation. We're circling the same sort of thing. I think Calvert-Lewin as plan B or even C, with Xerxes in the mix as well. I don't hate it. You can hate it if you want. I don't hate it. I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. I would like to see United go for a free transfer like this. We've gone with so many strikers who are at the top of their peak of their career. Yeah, and you might say, well, we're post-peak Calvert-Lewin. We might be. But what an opportunity for him to resurrect his career without the pressure of a big fat transfer fee. I don't hate it. Hate it if you want. I don't hate it. Let me know your thoughts, though. See you in the next one. Laters.